The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, celebrating 10 years of being the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss building your soil before you have to buy some, as well as making raised beds. And we'll answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in, whether you're doing such on one of the multiple AM and FM frequencies, broadcasting our program here in 2026 through a radio app, through our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, under the Season 10 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, or in-studio video replay. Thank you so much for being part of the show. You want to partake in participation, which is a welcome. You can do such at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's send us an email, gardentalkradio@gmail.com, or you can give us a call toll-free, coast-to-coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
So why did the asparagus take up gardening?
Why did the asparagus take up gardening? It had deep roots. It rooted.
It wanted to connect with its roots.
Oh, it wanted to connect with its roots. Okay.
This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com, American-made rescue products. Keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests such as wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
Now, I don't know these before you tell them, so I don't ask, I don't look. I want to be as neutral to the information as the listeners are as well.
Right. I usually put the joke in kind of right before we go on the air. So.
All right. Well, making compost. First of all, we're never going to make the amount of compost that we want to make. That we need to make. That just is not going to happen. Right.
So, that's very true. And you want to. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make compost.
No, absolutely not. You any form of making compost is good, whether you're large quantity or small quantity. So we're going to go over here some of the ways in which what we need to know before, what can we put in the compost pile and what shouldn't. Let's start with that. Well, even before that, what is a compost pile? What can we design it as?
So a compost pile could be any type of pile or what's it called?
Device?
No, vessel.
Okay.
That you put your compost in. And now there is different types of composting, like worm composting. And then there's like the one where you bury it. Trench composting. We're talking more about like a pile situation. Not that you can't put this stuff in there, but we're referring to more of a general compost pile. Then people sometimes will buy or build those turnable composters.
Tumbler.
There you go. So anyway, a compost pile is just basically where you are taking your household waste, mostly your kitchen waste, and you're allowing it to break down to create compost.
Now, there are certain things in that genre there that you should and shouldn't put in. Number one, we want greens and browns, nitrogens and carbons.
Right.
Carbon can be shredded paper, can be cardboard. Now, some people may not. Twigs. With some of this material like the cardboard, there is glues that is toxic, and some people may find that to be too inorganic in order to incorporate into the compost pile. Others will just throw it through the shredder or tear it up or mulch it through the lawnmower or mechanical means and shove it on the pile and be done with it. Twigs are another one. Leaves, regardless of what you are putting into the pile, if you're wanting it to break down quicker, the smaller the particle, the quicker it's going to break down. Now, tumblers, the recommended size of an on-ground unit of unit area in order to build compost is 1 cubic yard. That's 3 foot by 3 foot by 3, a 3 foot cube.
Yeah, essentially.
This is for hot composting.
Yes.
Now, there is another thing called cold composting, which we'll talk about momentarily, but we're going to focus on hot composting. Hot composting is the art or the practice of mixing your greens, your wet materials with your browns, your dry materials, to create a breakdown process where the microbes get in there and a heat is generated. And when we're talking heat, the larger the pile, the more heat that can be generated. You're looking 120 to 180 degrees.
So here's some, so you want to, if you're doing this method, there's some benefits. One is it's going to kill the weed seeds and pathogens while producing this nutrient-rich compost. You do have to be a little bit more aware, baby it, feed it, etc. to keep turn it to keep it that hot compost. But sometimes you'll see, if you ever watch gardening videos, you'll see people who are turning their compost and it's steaming. That's a hot compost, and it's because that the nitrogen material is allowing it to break down and make it hot.
Now, we've talked to composting manufacturers local in our area, and they have talked, and these are giant windrows, that's about 9 foot tall and 10 foot wide, and they have a machine that comes in and stirs this up. They've actually took and cooked a Thanksgiving turkey in the middle of that pile because it got over
because it gets to 120, 160.
Well, with that big pile, it was getting almost 200 degrees.
Right.
And they left it in for multiple hours, but they cooked a ham or a Thanksgiving turkey in this windrow of compost.
I don't know if I would like that or not, but whatever.
Talk about getting back to nature.
Right. But anyway, so that's hot composting. Now that's a more active.
Well, we never talked about what we shouldn't put in the compost pile, and that really determines where your pile's at.
Right. So you don't want to put any dog or cat feces.
Period. Regardless.
Yeah. No matter if you're hot composting or cold composting. And then also anything like, depending on where you are, but you don't want to put any bones in there, like chicken bones or, steak bones, I guess, or whatever, because that will typically attract animals, and you don't want that, especially if you are in a more urban setting. As cute as it is to see, little Ricky Raccoon, you don't want him
with his people hands.
I say this as I'm the one who feeds the squirrels, and there's clearly been a raccoon on our porch, and I think he ran off with my paper bag.
Okay,
but anyway,
was he going to do some holiday shopping?
I don't know, but it's missing, and I don't think the squirrels took it. Anyway.
Use it for bedding in the house.
I don't know, but anyway, back to composting.
Yeah, grease, bones, milk. Milk you can utilize as people will take that and turn it into a calcium source and like water plants with that if it's starting to go bad. Mm-hmm. Again, do it at your own caution because that will attract animals.
It's not really a lot of calcium.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very watered down. It seems kind of pointless. But anyway, so then we have the cold composting, or maybe more of the passive composting, where you just have the pile and you can make this pile as big or small as you want. You just want to make sure that there is some access to some air for it, whether you're doing a tumbler or just like a regular pile, or you take some fencing and fence something in. But that is the cold composting. You do want to turn it if you can. You don't have to. And we've done it where we don't turn it, and then we had like a little hatch.
Yeah, a door.
There we go.
Yeah, it was pallets, and we made a door, open pit. Now, you bring this up. There are certain municipalities, some HOAs, some towns where it is code where if you're going to do compost, you have to do it in an enclosed unit, like a tumbler. Or you
just don't let people in your backyard.
Well, that too.
Anyway, so
what they don't know.
Exactly. That's something
on the milk aspect. Milk provides some calcium, around 4 to 5 grams per gallon of nutrients. It is an expensive way to go if you're going to fertilize with milk. So it's almost it's very minimal to nothing. If it makes you feel better that you've got milk going bad, you're going to go on vacation, you pour it and water your plants with it. Fine and dandy, but don't expect any dramatic change, magical change that this milk is going to provide for your plants.
Right. It's not life changing. So
Now, with the cold composting, it can, with the hot composting, if done as we've instructed and shared with you, you can have compost made in like 60, 90, 120 days, 3 months, three or 4 months.
Right.
There's some people that will do what's called, I think it's, beer composting, where they spray the grass clippings with beer and they mix it in like 14 days and have it turn around because
like
of the
fermentation.
Yeah. Now with the cold composting, you don't have the seed. The seeds are still going to be viable, weeds, whatever, and it can take years to do that. If we're going to add, and that reminds me, if we're going to add grass clippings, which is a great additive to your compost bin, because it is green, it is wet, you want to make sure that your yard, wherever you're acquiring these clippings, have not been sprayed with a weed and feed, because it has a broadleaf spray chemical to eliminate all your dandelions and your lamb's quarters to make your yard look nice and pretty.
With that being said, yeah, you want to be aware of what's being sprayed around wherever you are collecting the yard waste, and or even just in your own garden. If you feel that, especially if you're not doing hot composting, if you had a diseased plant or some sort of pest and you're like, I don't know if this is going to cause further problems down the road if I compost it, then don't. Just put it into some black trash bags and throw it into your trash, because you don't want to keep spreading whatever that is.
And with that chemical, with that weed and feed, you can put it in and we've done garden talks where individuals have come up and said their whole garden is no good. And we started doing the investigational work. They had used grass clippings in their compost bin that had been, the yard had been treated with a weed and feed, and it turned from grass clippings to black compost, the best thing you could possibly have. And that chemical was so persistent that it still was active in the black compost that was affecting the green beans, the tomatoes, the nightshade family plants. Now, also, where you get your compost, whether you're making it or your animals that you can utilize the compost from, the manure, chicken manure is hot, it needs to be aged. Cow, horse,
rabbit.
Pig manure all needs to be aged. Now, alpaca and rabbit manure, you can use that right away. It's not considered a hot manure, and it will not burn your plants. If you utilize chicken, horse, cow, that type of thing, you put it on the garden, you work it in, it's going to kill the plants. It's going to burn the plants. Also, the source in which you get this from is important even now more than ever.
So when you talk about burning the plants,
yes,
that might confuse some people. So because it's so high
nitrogen that the plant absorbs it and basically, it internally burns the plant, not like fire, but to the point where it can't do much. It wilts and gets looks like it needs, it's not good for the plant. It's got to be aged.
Okay.
And then the source of your compost, killer compost, is now becoming more and more of a thing. We've had Joe Lample, a host of former PBS's Growing a Greener World on the program, multiple years. He experienced this, what is called killer compost, and this is a little snippet of that interview, and he can explain it a whole lot better than you and I can. But I want everybody to be aware that this is a problem.
Okay, that's definitely really good to know. Now, we always talk about killer compost every time you come on the show, but it's really worth repeating. This is something that could happen to just about anybody. What is killer compost? And you had to deal with this personally in your raised beds. Could you share with us what happened?
Okay, so killer compost is basically using composted horse manure that came from hay that was grown in fields that was sprayed with persistent herbicides. So I'm talking about Grazon, imidacloprid, and different persistent herbicides that are so, they just don't break down naturally. In fact, they're designed not to break down. And so over 4 or 5 years after composting, they're still intact, and that herbicide can kill many plants that come in contact with it. And so when gardeners unknowingly use horse manure, composted horse manure that happened to have hay that was treated with this persistent herbicide, that can pass through to the gardener's use of it in the garden soil, and that's when it can kill your plants and ruin your soil. And the reason I know about it is because I'm well researched on it, but I also, even knowing that, I couldn't resist the temptation to use my own composted horse manure from my own farm and my own horses when I built my raised bed garden. And I put 20% of my bed, I used the composted horse manure on my property without checking first to see if it had the persistent herbicide in it, and it did. And as soon as I got the horse manure in my garden beds and the plants started growing and the roots came in contact with that persistent herbicide, suddenly my plants started curling up and becoming deformed, and it was very apparent what had happened. I knew immediately when I saw it what had happened, and I did it to my own garden. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad at myself, but, live and learn. It happens to the best of us. And so you have to be careful with anytime you're using animal manure in your garden. You have to be sure before you put it into your garden that it's free of any persistent herbicide.
Well, this can be true for weed and feed, inorganic weed and feed that people take the grass clippings and compost and throw in their yard or in their garden, because that weed and feed is to kill the broadleaf plants in the yard to make the grass grow, and it's persistent and even in the compostable form. So it can be the same detrimental effect that you went through on a much smaller level, but still as deadly.
It can be the same. The difference is that the type of herbicide that's sold commercially for agricultural use, for example, for farmers that are growing out grass for hay harvesting, that herbicide is less available in the consumer market and more for the commercial market, and that is the type of synthetic herbicide that is incredibly persistent, much more persistent than what you or I might purchase in a garden center or a nursery, but the result can be definitely the same. The difference is the duration or persistence of the herbicide on the commercial level.
So that's something to be aware of. And the hot composting or the hot manure is because the high ammonia or nitrogen and salt content that the plant will absorb, and the plant will take it up in the roots. Foliage will leading to browning, wilting, and eventually the death of the plant if you're using a hot manure and it hasn't aged. So a lot of information there. We appreciate Joe coming on the program every now and then in order to share information just like that, and we hope that we have enlightened you in some of the do's and don'ts and awareness when it comes to building or making your own compost for your garden. Hang out with us. When we return, we're going to be discussing how to build raised beds. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
We are in the dead of winter, but it's not too early to read up on the best products to control beetles and grubs in your yard and garden.
You're right, Joey. Before we know it, the temperature will rise to 55 Fahrenheit plus, and those grubs will become active again in your lawns and gardens. Make sure you use safe, high-performing products like Grub Gone and Beetle Gone so you, your kids, and pets can safely enjoy your yard without sharing it with beetles and grubs.
Grub Gone can be applied to the turf to control grubs, reducing turf damage and lessens the impact that beetles have on your yard in the summer. Easy to use. Apply with any commercial spreader and irrigate into the soil. Biological that specifically targets grubs without harming soil beneficials like earthworms.
And use Beetle Gone in your garden soil to control grubs, or later in the summer to control beetle invaders without harming bees, ladybugs, insects, butterflies, etc. These are the only non-chemical products that work. Find out more at BeetleGone.com.
Say goodbye to weeds. Easily remove them, roots and all, with the unique design of the Cobra-Head Hand Cultivator, recognized as the world's leading hand weeding tool. Simple design, lightweight, made from forged tempered steel for easy extraction of weeds, plant seeds, rows, and more. Visit CobraHead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order at CobraHead.com. Coupon code valid 1 per customer.
Get in your garden with Diggs. From gardening gloves to accessories, storage, organization, and more, Diggs products combines form and function with a splash of fashion and are ideal for women who possess a passion for plants and enjoy harnessing the beauty of nature. Steeped in color and pattern, Diggs gloves are inspired by nature and are designed to protect your most valuable assets, your hands. Get your Diggs on at diggsgardening.com, the Home Depot, Amazon, and search for it by name, D-I-G-Z, diggsgardening.com.
Get higher yields with durable green bed raised garden bed kits designed to be drainable, breathable, pest resistant, and long-lasting. DurableGreenBed.com. Abundance guaranteed.
A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA BioPreferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you no more bugs.
Check out ivorganics.com. It's America's leading garden product YouTube channel. IV Organic products are innovative, organic, effective, and proudly USA made to help you achieve your best growing season. Use coupon code RADIO10 at checkout and save 10% on your entire order at ivorganics.com. That coupon code again is RADIO10 to save 10% on your order at ivorganics.com. Say goodbye to weeds. Easily remove them, roots and all, with the unique design of the Cobra-Head Hand Cultivator, recognized as the world's leading hand weeding tool. Simple design, lightweight, made from forged tempered steel for easy extraction of weeds, plant seeds, rows, and more. Visit cobrahead.com and use coupon code SOIL for 10% off your order at cobrahead.com. Coupon code valid 1 per customer. You might want to talk to your plants. It's time for this week's Garden Fun Fact. Talking to plants to help them grow is a well-known old wise tale, but studies have shown vibrations like music or perhaps even the sweet sound of your voice can affect the plant growth. This has even been proven unscientifically by the well-known television show Mythbusters. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy you allowed us to be part of your day just for a little bit. One more information about those companies that you have just heard and their coupon code availability. Our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Underneath the money tab at the top of the page, we'll have the coupon codes and listings of all the companies that are a part of the program under the season 10 tab at the top of the page. Well, when it comes to gardening, there's many different forms, fashions, and methods in which to grow a little or a lot in your backyard or your farm. We're going to discuss raised bed building and placement of those raised beds in your backyard, front yard, your property.
I think we should talk about placement first because this might deter some people or encourage some people. So you want to make sure that you have enough space for the raised beds. You can make them as long as you want, but the width across, you want to keep it usually about 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet.
4 feet max.
Yeah, because you want, and you might think, well, that's silly if I have all this space, but you want to be able to reach across the bed. So if you are horizontally inclined like I am, or maybe you're not very tall, then 3 feet would be more appropriate. But if you're taller, or you have taller helpers or longer arms or whatever, then you could probably get away with 4 feet. But that's something to keep in mind is the width.
And 4 feet, you get an 8-foot board and you cut in half and you got 4. Otherwise, you're going to have some odysseys whenever you go 3 foot wide, which we've seen beds 1 foot wide, 3 foot wide.
4 feet wide?
4 feet wide. We've got 2 beds that are 4 foot by 16, 4 beds that are 4 foot wide by 12 foot long, and a number of beds that are 4 foot wide by 8 foot long. So, and the orientation of these beds, wherever you're going to place your beds, keep in mind that you're going to bring in, you're obviously not going to make the amount of soil that you need. You're going to bring in soil. You're going to bring in good quality compost, soil, raised bed, some type of mix there. So you can get away with having smaller square footage and still getting good quality, even if not better quality, produce than you would if you're just going right in the ground. That's what we experienced. We went from 1,800 square feet in ground to about 670, 690 square feet in raised beds, and didn't lose the decrease in productivity because of the good soil.
Right. And that's the thing, is that maybe you don't know what your soil situation is. Maybe you don't want to know. Maybe you just like the look of raised beds. So there's no, like, even though you're like, well, it might take up more space and less yield, that's not true. So it's something to keep in mind.
Or the orientation of the beds, it's recommended, and you can do whatever you want. First of all, look up, is there trees? You want to have as much sun as possible. You want to have at least 6+ hours of sun.
Or tall buildings.
North to south for even light distribution of the plants. And you want tall plants like tomatoes on the north side to avoid the shading of the small plants like herbs or lettuce. So keep that in mind, which you can do from south front to maximum sun in the back, that in the back. So what is the materials? Now, this can be whatever you want. Most people will go with traditional commercial grade lumber, 2x10s, 2x12s. Treated is what we went with because it is treated with a copper material, not arsenic like it used to be back in the 80s and 90s. Some people will go with traditional, just untreated pine. And you can use a product called Timber Pro Coatings USA that preserves the wood from the inside out and never wears off. People use this for the raised beds, their decks, their chicken coops, any outdoor wood surfaces. Works great. Timber Pro Coatings USA is the product.
Another thing to consider is
height.
How much? Height, right? Yeah. You want to make it sure it's at least 10 inches.
I would go 10 inches, but some people will have them 2.5, 3 foot tall too. The highly elevated.
Like the elevated.
Right. Well, some of them have legs, and other ones just have a very tall wall, and they can lean over, and then they have to do a lot of filler in order to get that. Yeah.
I was going to say, you have to consider the filler, which is what I was going to talk about next. But height is important. So anything what works for you is maybe you build a platform. Maybe you just utilize them as a traditional kind of looking raised bed where they're about 10 to 12 inches deep. But you do want at least 10 inches because of the roots for the plants. And then also if you're growing any sort of root crop that provides you with enough depth. And then you want to think about, especially before you do this, how much compost will you need, or how much filler, how much raised bed mix, whatever it may be, because that's the part that is an initial investment. Right.
Well, let's talk about filler. If we're making beds, let's say they're 18 to 20 inches high, and you only need 12 inches of soil, and you just want to have it high enough that you can sit on it. If you have mobility issues or a situation where you want to sit on it, have a ledge, whatever the case is, there's things in which you can put in the bottom of these raised beds that is appropriate. Rotting, decaying logs. You don't really want to put leaf debris or lawn clippings because they're going to break down and the level of the soil would decrease rapidly. We don't want to put styrofoam or aluminum cans or items like that in the bottom of anything to try to raise up.
Don't dump your recycling bin in the bottom.
Right.
Right.
But my recommendation would be find old rotting logs, and it kind of turns into a hugelkultur type of situation. The benefit to the rotting logs is as you water, they absorb the moisture, and as the soil dries, the moisture wicks out of the log and wicks up into the soil. So that's one way to go. But traditionally, our raised beds are 12 inches high, and we just put it right on top of the grass. Now, that can be a challenge, and we had challenges with that. You can do several layers of cardboard on the bottom to try to suffocate that grass out, or in our case, we had thistles that really was a problem for about a year until we stressed the thistles out and they died. How did we stress the thistles out without spraying them? We simply went down as far as we could in that 12 inches until we hit the native soil, snipped them off, or shoveled, cut them off, and then pulled them out. And after about 3 times, they just didn't have the energy because they had no sunlight,
right.
And they choked out.
Yeah. Choking out the thistles.
And then what about gophers? Let's talk about
so if you have like some sort of, I think this also includes like moles and voles.
Correct.
Too.
Yes.
If you do have that known issue in your yard, you'd just want to take what they call hardware cloth, and then before you put the bed down or during or whatever, you want to put that down, and then that will prevent those moles, voles, gophers, what have you, from being able to tunnel underneath and then going into your raised beds from below.
Yeah, you'll staple it or nail it to the bottom of the raised bed, invert it, and then you don't have. You don't have to. You can just raise it up and lay it underneath. It's going to be fine like that. TimberProCoatingsusa.com is the company that provides the internal wood stabilizer. So when we are going to build or orientate our raised beds in the backyard, front yard, the space between the raised beds is crucial. Now, you may think, I'm going to shove them up as tight as I can because if I do that, I can get 3 more beds in. Or you're going to have a nightmare when it comes to trimming the grass, getting in for normal maintenance. You want to have a minimum of 3 foot, preferably 4 foot wide walk paths from bed to bed.
Another thing to think about, aside from the orientation, is how level is your land? Now, I'm not saying that everybody's backyard is full of dips and whatever, and that's natural usually anyway, but it's something that once you put that bed down, you're going to see, this like 2 feet is hanging over, and then you kind of have to do some landscaping type of things. So yeah.
Does the beds have to be absolutely perfectly level? If the one end's up 2 inches and the other end's down 2 inches, it doesn't matter. If it matters to you, then make it work for you. Also, if you're in an urban situation, you've got neighbors, you got property lines, what is the code in which you have to be off the property line? Some places require you to be X amount of feet off the property line before building or constructing any type of semi or permanent type of structure, and raised beds would probably fall into that in some instances. We didn't straighten ours up. We followed the code, but if you look at it,
level them.
Well, no, from the property line out. If you look down the property line, one's about 6 inches too far, the other one's 6 inches in, another one's 8. It's all it's not staggered. It's all over the place. Which when you put compost in, it really, you can't move them. Let's talk about the compost. This is the key. You talked about it's an investment. Where do we go, and how do we calculate how much compost we need?
Sure. So there's different compost calculators online. So you can put, say for example, you're building an 8x4 raised bed that's 12 inches deep. You would put this information in there, and it's going to say, it's going to make that noise. And
it's not going to.
What is it? The late 90s, early 2000s, and then it's going to tell you, okay, you need X amount of blah, blah, blah. You need
5.42 cubic yards. Cubic yards of compost. That is measured in cubic yards.
But this is helpful to know because you need to, unless, I don't know, maybe you own a truck, who knows, but you need to get this typically delivered somehow. And some of these places will deliver up to, we will deliver
a minimum. They have to have at least.
They have to have a minimum. And then they also have a maximum as well. But it's something that you have to keep in mind is, for us, it was like we just went with more. Yeah. Because then it was
for us, and this was a couple of years ago. It was a $60 delivery fee, which is every place has a delivery fee that you can't get away from that. And I'm picking numbers. It wasn't exact, but it was like 6 in and a 6.4 yards for us. We needed to fill. So we went with 7 yards. I think we went with a whole nother. I think we went like 7.5 yards.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Due to the fact of we knew that in a couple of years that soil is going to settle. So we took and filled our raised beds with the compost we needed, and then we took a tarp and laid over an area where we weren't going to grow, and that's where that excess compost went and lived for a year to a year and a half until we needed to start topping off the raised beds. That way, we didn't have to buy more compost. We didn't have to have a minimum yardage requirement, and we didn't have to pay a service fee.
And then our niece and nephew came over and they helped us, and they were playing in the compost.
Yeah, it's like a big giant sand pile.
Yeah, then my nephew rode his bike through it or something. Yeah. So that just pays off in itself. So
now there are places, and I've done this too, where if you just have a little 4x4 square foot by 8 inch Rootmaker grow bags, rootmaker.com grow bags, or use Radio 26 to save 10% off your order, or you have one of their pop-up beds, and you just need a half a cubic yard of compost. I've gone with a car and buckets and bags and went back to the pile and filled it up, and then
you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It saves you a service charge. You don't have to buy more. It was exactly the amount that I needed in order to fill the beds and the bags that I had for the project I was working on. So
I remember that.
Yeah. But you don't want to spray the ground before you plant or before you put the bed down.
What do you mean spray it?
Like some people may want to spray a weed killer.
Like a grass killer.
A grass killer, and don't do that. You don't need to add worms to your compost in your raised beds. They will naturally come. It's amazing how quickly they will come with that, just setting it right on the native soil and come up. Can you do a raised bed in an area where, let's say, a concrete patio, porch?
Why couldn't you?
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Some people will decide to put some type of weed cloth underneath to allow the water to permeate through, but not, and it will hold the compost or the soil in. So that is totally doable.
Work with what you have.
Yeah, there's no necessarily wrong way to do it. There's just ways to do it better and to have a better garden. Now, you're going to have to top these beds off probably every couple of years. And then that way you can do the cars.
That's just the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality. Don't know where it goes. Have no idea. But it just does that.
The worms eat and run off with it.
And with our system, and we've talked about this in last week, is we've installed dripworks.com irrigation system. And we run on a timer during the growing season. Right. 20 minutes at 8 o'clock in the morning, 20 minutes at noon, and 20 minutes at 5 on a timer. And we have a feeder line. Each bed has a certain amount of drip lines in it, and it works really, really well. Also, we need to talk real briefly about animals that may get into your bed, like rabbits.
Yeah, you can definitely use what's it called? Fencing.
Poultry wire, chicken wire.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all, and it does happen. You would think that rabbits wouldn't want to hop up there, but they do, and so if you have to use some sort of barrier, whether it be the fencing or something else, that's fine, and you should definitely consider that, and don't think like it's going to magically.
It doesn't. It gets
better.
worse.
Yeah, it gets
worse.
It gets worse because those rabbits, I think they like cue other rabbits in. So, yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about the Scrusher, and the Scrusher is a boot and shoe cleaner, and what it does is you set outside your home, your garage, wherever cabin, and you want to just clean your boots off real nice and easy and quick. It's a shoe brush station that is built with a weather-resistant steel frame, also made with black UV powder coated finish for year-round outdoor use. Super easy to use, super convenient, removes any of that dirt, mud, slush, and it's a user-friendly design for trouble-free cleaning, saving time and effort.
And it's made in the USA.
You can use code. You want to go to scrusher.com. That's SCRUSHER, and use code NOMOREDIRT5 to save 5% off and free shipping at checkout.
When we return, it's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and businesses through more than 3,500 drop points across all 50 states, making it easy to get everything you need in one simple pickup. As a natural health food distributor, Azure brings bulk and specialty items to communities nationwide. They offer more than 12,000 products that meet their clean ingredient standards, high quality, non-GMO, organic, and naturally sourced. You'll find everything from groceries, health and beauty items, and household essentials to nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even gardening products. Simply put, Azure Standard has something for just about every part of daily living. Visit azurestandard.com and use promo code JoeyandHolly15 at checkout to get 15% off your first order of $100 or more when you open a new account and ship to the drop location of your choice. Visit azurestandard.com. That's AZURE standard.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG26 to save 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That's JUNGSEED.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, You'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
MyRootmaker.com has the tools to start your plants off right and keep them growing through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Get the harvest you've never seen before. Visit MyRootmaker.com and use coupon code RADIO26 to save 10% off your order at MyRootmaker.com. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
Save your back. Easily and quickly remove trees and shrubs from your property with the Weed Wrench. Find it at weed-wrench.com. Made in the USA. Use coupon code JOEY to save $10 off your Weed Wrench at weed-wrench.com.
Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out
Soil Diva Liquid Microbe Stimulant Spray improves the health of your plants you work hard to grow, stimulates the natural enzymes, and increases beneficial soil bacteria. Go to soildiva.net. Soildiva.net. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy that you're part of the program today and tuning in to keep us company and hopefully learn a little bit to help improve your garden this year. It's time for your garden questions and answers, but first, a word from our good friends at scrubbysoap.com.
You know, Joey, you know how I have like a million hobbies?
Yes.
Most of them involve
getting dirty.
And Scrubby is a perfect solution for somebody like me, or maybe you have an artist friend or a crafty friend or a friend who likes to work on cars.
Or you just have dirty hands from being in the garden.
Yeah, I have dirty hands from being in the garden. A Scrubby is a natural soap with a scrubber inside, and it fills the entire part of the bar. So rather than using harsh synthetic cleaning agents, they use citrus oil, and so this combination of the citrus oil and the scrubber creates the ultimate soap for removing dirt, grease, oil, paint, anything. And it's not just for your hands. You can use it to clean your paintbrushes. So it's good for artists, painters, gardeners, mechanics. Remove that grease and grime. And then the natural citrus oil, which I like to hear because a lot of this stuff really dries out your hands. Uh-huh. And also, you know, sometimes your brushes, you are deep in a project and you kind of forget about them, and you come back and you're like, this will help kind of clean a lot of that stuff off and break it down as well.
Break it down.
So no sponge needed, which is even better. One less thing for you to keep track of when you got to keep track of all your other hobby supplies. So you can get 10% off your order by using SOAP, SOAP at checkout at scrubbysoap.com.
Well, we've got time for your garden questions and answers. You've got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If we can't get to you, please leave a message and we will call you back with the answer to your question. All right. I would like to change the color of my hydrangeas and can do this. How can I do this?
By changing the pH.
Yeah, by changing the pH.
I want to know how I do it and how long will it take.
There you go. Okay.
So apparently, I didn't know this. Hydrangeas, you can change the color.
Yes.
By certain flowers.
Lowering or raising the pH level in the soil.
Yeah. So it can affect the availability of minerals like aluminum, acidic soil. So lower pH makes them blue-purple, and this allows for minimum aluminum absorption. while alkaline soil, which is the high pH, turns them pink-red by blocking it. So you can also do this with roses and cannas. They have subtle shifts, but hydrangeas offer the most dramatic pH color change. So it's a process.
Right.
Though.
To lower the pH, you want to get aluminum sulfate, and it's 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. You want to do this March, April, May. Drench the soil around the plants, avoiding leaves, and to make the aluminum available for blue blooms. To turn pink, you want a 1 tablespoon solution of hydrated lime, 1 per gallon, 1 tablespoon of hydrated lime per gallon of water, March, April, May as well. Do the same thing, drenching around the plant. You can do this a couple of times if need be. And this can take a growing season or two in order to get this completely altered the way you want it to do. It's a slow process, and can take weeks, months, or even up to a full growing season or longer, depending on the soil pH, available aluminum availability. It's best to adjust in the fall, early spring, before the buds start coming out. So this is not just, I want to change it, let's do it tomorrow, and we'll see change next week.
You're not like in Alice in Wonderland where they're painting the flowers
red.
The flowers,
yeah.
But it's cool, and I think that if I'm pretty allergic to hydrangeas, but
well, then this wouldn't be a thing for you.
No, but if I was not and I grew them, I would try that because it'd be kind of a fun science experiment.
All right, next question. I often get sprouted onions in my kitchen. I've thought about planting them. Would I get an onion, or would I just get seeds? Is it worth my effort?
You would get
like
onion greens.
You're going to get onion greens, and you're going to get onion seeds if left in the ground long enough. However, here's what you need to know. You're not going to get another onion. Onions are biennials, which means they grow the first year. If you left them alone in your garden, they would regrow the next spring and then put on the seed pod in order for regeneration. The problem with doing this with a sprouted onion that is not yours, that you did not grow, is you don't know where it came from. So you may be collecting seeds that are long day if you're in the south, or if you're in the north, you may be collecting short day onion seeds. Yes.
But the good thing is that you can use those greens.
Yes, you can use the greens. But the seeds, unless you've grown it yourself and it's sprouted in your own kitchen, you don't know the geographical area which it came from, because that's the key in order to get good bulbing onions. Is if you're in the north, you want long day, neutral day in the middle portion of the United States, and southern is short day. So it will grow. You can get seeds. You're going to get greens. However, with that second year, you want to be aware that plant is going to be much more tougher in the green category, because it is going to utilize all the bulb energy to put that green top on in order for seed production, and the bulb actually gets smaller over the course of that reproductive cycle. So use the greens in the kitchen. Don't plant it. If you plant in the ground, then it's going to be tougher, but you can use those greens early. Utilize that onion the best you can. I don't find it's worth anything to try to regrow and to get anything off of it, even if it's your own onion. It's a lot of effort for a little return.
Right. So let's talk about this next question here. When do you turn on your grow lights? Right after you plant, or when they sprout? For how long, off and on? So when you planted them, you don't have to turn that grow light on right away. You can wait until they sprout. And we grow, what is our 12 hours?
We will start with 8 and 16, and then work our way up to every couple of weeks. We'll increase it to 10 and 14, and then 12 and 12 in order to supplement the amount of light for the plant. And not all grow lights are created equal as well. So keep that in mind.
And something to keep in mind is most people, when you're planting these things outside, you are planting them pretty close to the summer solstice, which is the longest daylight day. So keeping them on there for 12 hours is not a bad thing.
Right. When do you, let's see, what are your thoughts on soaking seeds before planting, both indoors and outdoor direct sowing? Does it help the seeds at all in germination?
I mean, it can help some. Like, for example, larger seeds, it can help kind of break down the seed coat if you soak them a day or so before, and they could sprout sooner. But as far as like having to do it, it's not necessary. People will do it with okra.
Okra, well, you can do it with water. You can do it with compost tea.
Milk.
Okra, you do it with milk to break down, 2% milk to break down the coating on that seed. And you can get these to sprout 3 to 5 days sooner. However, here's the be aware asterisk in this conversation. If you're soaking 40 or 50 pea seeds, yeah, you can get a jump start on them. You can soak them overnight, 12 hours. The larger the seed, the longer you want to soak it for. But then you go out and you start planting, and then you go, oh man, I got 15 seeds I got nowhere to go with because I soaked too many of them.
Yeah, that is a problem. So you might want to plan ahead and figure out, where you're going to plant them and how many.
I know I need at least this, so I'm going to soak 20 seeds, and then whatever else I need, I'll just plant directly and not soak them. The other thing your pumpkin seeds, your corn, okra, your larger seeds like that, yeah, I would go ahead and soak. Yeah, why not? It's not going to hurt anything. Your smaller seeds, your radishes, your tomatoes, your peppers, your tiny little seeds, it is a mess to try to soak them. And you're only soaking them for like an hour or 2 hours because they're so small. And then you drain the water off, or you're fishing them out of water. They all stick together. It is a tremendous mess to deal with. Even with tweezers, it's much carrot seeds, example. It's just easier to go and not just direct sow them without having to soak them at all.
So with your indoor seedlings, what, if anything, do you feed them, or is it just watering them until you plant them outside? That definitely depends on what you planted them in.
Yeah, if you plant them in the expandable peat pellets, that only has peat moss or cocoa coir in it based on the manufacturer, and it has no nutrient value in it. So you would need to supplement something in that seed tray for feeding them. They will last 3 to 5 weeks without any problem because they're utilizing what was in that seed coat to grow. After that, they're going to start getting weak and wilty looking and just kind of, drug, because they're just living off the water. So you can use a compost tea, you can use a synthetic or organic liquid fertilizer. Either way you go, I would recommend using just a quarter of the strength in what the package indicates. If you're using compost tea, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to absorb what it needs. But a quarter of the strength of what the package indicates in order to have successful seedlings before you take them out and plant them. If it's going to be a long duration, go ahead and take them off the peat pellet, take the netting off, and put them in actual growing cell and fill them with a potting mix or a compost mix to get them going till the time you take them out, if it's multiple weeks from the time of planting. You got time for one more.
All right. Can I plant my pumpkins and zucchini close to one another this spring, or will the cross-pollination cause me to get weird produce?
You can plant them close to one another. Yes, they will cross-pollinate, but that will only affect the seeds internally and will not affect the produce that you're going to receive this fall, summer, fall.
But then if you save the seeds, that
then
could be a
you
problem.
can have some kind of morphation of a, pumpkin pumpkin. It really, there's
a pumpkin zucchini.
Yeah, it's very lacking in flavor. It's very. We had some spaghetti squash that we had purchased seeds from an old a different company, and they crossed. They were like a zucchini.
Zucchini.
They were like a zucchini pumpkin cross. Had no flavor. Very spongy. It was really. It looked exactly like. It had the shape of a spaghetti squash, but the ribbing of a pumpkin on it. Yeah, and it was yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very unique crop.
That was strange.
We couldn't do anything with it.
Right.
Well, we appreciate your time. We are out of time, and we appreciate yours. If you've got a question, you want to submit it over, you can certainly do that by going to your email account. gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Send it on over. You can find out more information at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. And you can also send us a question via phone, toll free, 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Tune into the program next week where we will be discussing what not to buy at your garden center, as well as preparing to plant cool weather crops. And we'll have more of your questions and answers. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joey Baird, and we will see you in the garden.